What's going on, everybody? This is Rob Wilson. I'd like to welcome you to Strictly Art Live, episode number 52. It is Tuesday, January 7th, the day after J6, and we are all still alive. It's pretty much a winter wonderland as the snowstorms have kicked off here in the DMV area. It's been rather amazing. It got as low as 18 degrees last night. I know, because I was in it. And it's rather interesting. So, long story short, I'm a comic book artist, digital creator, content creator, all that kind of jazz. I do video editing, working on my own comic book. I like to put my art on metal prints and things of that nature into some form of physical media. I do not do NFTs. I repeat, I do not do NFTs. For all of the folks that tend to pop up in my emails from ArtStation and always trying to sell me Ethereum for my artwork, I do not do NFTs, unfortunately. But I put my art in physical media, so that's what I do. These live streams are kind of like where I get to share with you my art, do some brainstorming, all that kind of jazz, and have some fun. Even like right now, I'm cleaning up a piece for Spin City Magazine themed serial killers. Specifically, this one here, Richard Ramirez, the NightStalker, and his demon pal, fictional demon pal, on his back here. That's I've been working on for the past couple weeks, and it's been fun. Working at 300 DPI is a little different for me. I'm used to working at 600, if not more, and it's been educational. So I got to learn to roll with the punches, as they say, and make stuff happen. So hopefully I'm within the deadline, because I know I kind of am bad with deadlines, but I hope to get better with them. But hopefully this does reach the desired audience for a little more exposure, and I got to test my wits and skills with this comic version of Mr. Ramirez. Coloring them too. Definitely wanted to provide a form of fiery demon type. So I start to kind of like fuse the reds with the oranges and yellows. And I'll add some glow to it later for a finish effect. Even the palm, I'll plan on making the pentagram glow as well. Did get a message here. Levi Skeen, morning Rob, morning Levi. Welcome aboard, sir. If you haven't already, please check out the meg.tv. It is Madness Comics Network. It's a combination of tons of comic book artists, writers, skilled and talented people on the embarking journey of promoting their work together. I feel like together anything is possible. Goals can be achieved and dreams realized. So this is going to be a very specific episode today. We're going to cover Creature Commandos, episode 6, and we're going to get into a long form breakdown of the newly leaked script of the Kang Dynasty, What Would Have Been, featuring Jonathan Majors and his many variations of himself in the MCU before he got canned. Unlike James Gunn, Jonathan Majors most likely will not return, even though his charges have been dropped. Just the way of the world, how things go. I'm going to try to get Pops on here and Levi Skeen as well, but I don't want to bore them with this topic, so I'm going to go ahead and try to knock those out of the way as quickly as possible. The breakdown is about 54 minutes for the Avengers Kang Dynasty. So I may be able to do it all in this one setting. Well, we'll see how it goes. All right. So first of all, let's get started with James Gunn's Creature Commandos, Episode 6. After embarking on a break from the background episodes from Episode 5, which was a little bit different, we got to see Rick Flag teaming up with Frankenstein and all that jazz, and we got the introduction of Clayface. This time we went back to the James Gunn meat and potatoes, Watchmen-like, Zack Snyder Watchmen-like, episodic of showing each character's origin story. And this time it was with Dr. Phosphorus, the princess of the make-believe European country. It might be a real country, I'm sorry. Every time they talk in their language, it's like, bro, it sounds like they're just like pulling somebody's chain. My personal opinion. I actually find it like the funniest thing about the Creature Commandos show. The foreign military and the language that they speak. It just sounds like they're popping off. So yeah, Dr. Phosphorus, he gets his origin story, how he was manipulated and abused by the great, dramatic pause, Rupert Thorne. And I think it was pretty good to introduce Rupert Thorne. I actually like Rupert Thorne's character. He was a mainstay in the Batman animated series, TV show from the 90s. So it really showed that an expansion of villains is happening with this James Gunn universe. One of the things I did praise about Black Adam, regardless of how much people hated that movie, I enjoyed it. And I did applaud egomaniac Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson for introducing Intergang, because we'd never seen him, that group, in the DC extended universe at all, ever. So I applauded him on that. I thought that was pretty cool. So going back to this, yeah, we got Rupert Thorne, responsible for the origin of Dr. Phosphorus, which was ironically very similar. This is why I go back to the Zack Snyder Watchmen. It was very similar to Dr. Manhattan. Wait a minute. Dr. Phosphorus, Dr. Manhattan. Who's piggybacking off of who? You know what I mean? This DC thing, call me crazy. I mean, I'll stay in the loop of it because I like to learn what mistakes not to repeat, and try to go with and get inspired by things that do work. And that being the case, we have some unusual parallels with Zack Snyder's DCEU and James Gunn's, whatever it's called, the Gunverse or whatever he wants to call it. Things are kind of molding together, and James Gunn's stuff doesn't really seem all that original, aside from the gore and the sex and outrageous behavior. But then again, that's more reminiscent of The Boys, as I've mentioned in previous episodes. Now, I don't hate watch these. Again, I study this media, form of pop culture stuff, especially in comic books, because I want to tell good stories. How does a musician become good? Not just by listening to his own music or saying, I don't listen to anything else but my music. That's pretty, hermetic. And you can only learn but so much in doing that process. However, if you do observe other people's styles, other artists grow that way by seeing great art and emulating what they like and leaving behind what they don't like, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. That's why you have artists that do contests and gimmicky themes like Inktober and all that kind of stuff. So that's how artists grow. Storytellers, writers get better by piggybacking and critiquing each other. This is only normal. So, with some of the critiques, the many critiques I've heard amongst indie creators, whether writers or comic book artists, I try to formulate enough of the same questions that are asked in my own mind. So that way I'm already asking these questions if it's being done a certain way, because that's what peers have mentioned and audience members and customers have mentioned. So I want to make sure I kind of get that down. Now, the other way I get that down, you know what I'm saying? From downtown. If you ain't down with the brown, you better back the Mac, baby. Um, Another way I get it done is by watching shows like Marvel's What If, James Gunn's Creature Commandos, things of that nature. Um, I haven't given up on them, but I more or less use those mediums of entertainment as study material to see production value, again, what could be done better. Another example before I get back into the Creature Commando episode number 6 is the emergence of this new Spider-Man, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show that's coming out. And it's really odd because after just seeing What If, their standard of animation is relative to them. I thought it was going to be all across the board the standard, but apparently not. It slightly kind of looked like, was it X-Men 95 or 97? Kind of. But What If had a lot more other things in mind. And that's what made it kind of different. Aside from Peggy Carter being the Goku of all 3 seasons, it had its own linear path it wanted to follow, even though it was called What If. It had very linear, specific things. Now, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, I mean, I think it might be worse than the James Gunn Superman trailer, in my opinion. I get it. Some people like the James Gunn Superman trailer. More power to them. Again, it was a lesson to me as what not to do. And it's that simple. I didn't like it. You don't start off any representation or let me not say representation because that word's been abused. You don't start off any introduction of a truly iconic classic character that the world knows many times over with him getting beat down. That's not cool. It's just not. So, again, these are all mediums of study material. Before, did I hate watch stuff? Sure. Now, study material. That is the goal in mind. Study material is key in order to producing better stuff, which you want to see, and hearing the feedback, positive or negative, from the audience that also consumes such pop culture media helps my journey of improvement with my comics. In fact, my first comic is available. The first one I did back in 2018, self-published. It is still on my storefront, but you can check it out. It's like $10.99. Print on demand is my goal. That's the best avenue that works for me because unfortunately I'm a one-man show. I got to keep the ball rolling, and that's that. So, Creature Commandos, episode 6. We have more fun with Bride and Frankenstein and the female Abe from Hellboy. You know, the fish lady. Let's call her Ariel. I didn't pay attention to her name. She is not that important to me, unfortunately. But yeah, Ariel and the Bride, they continue their journey through the foreign land after they got found out by the commander that they were there to kill the princess. Don't kill the princess. You never want to kill the princess. But nonetheless, that's where they found themselves at. And they found themselves also hiding in a brothel. And there was a discussion amongst the madam of the brothel about how they spend their lives and if they would be interested in, sex work, that kind of stuff. Because that's important in a DC animated show. I get it. We've already had necrophilia. We've already had a 50-year-old banging a borderline 18-year-old. We've seen some crazy stuff. Levi Skeen said, seeing crypto on screen did make me smile. And I applaud James Gunn in that area because crypto is lore. He's been around. We've seen him many times across every form of Superman, from the animated series to the comics, you name it. So adding him to the movies is another level of reach to the fans, or connection to the fans, not reach. And it says a lot, I just would have expected something of crypto to be hanging out in the Fortress of Solitude, But this is James Gunn go around, and I hope he keeps things a little more like his iteration, not too Zack Snydery, because then it's like cut and paste. Where's the effort at that point? But who knows? We'll see. I'll watch it along with others. I'll listen to others' feedback and see what understandings, what profound conclusions we could come to together, agreed or disagreed, about the new Superman by James Gunn. So yeah, Creature Commandos. We had the madness of the phosphorus, introduction, and then I gotta mention this. Going back to the Bride and Ariel, as they're hiding out in the brothel, they get a rude interruption by some customers that are apparently regulars. One guy sounds like Sheamus from WWE. I thought he was gonna break out "It's a shameful thing, man had too many sons, they'll wind up dead." That song. But apparently they were the Crack Brothers, and they had to make themselves known, and they were possibly a plot device to have the talk and the message about women not truly being safe in the industry of sex work. So that apparently was important, and we was it cable call it we time slide over to the Dr. Phosphorus, his continuing, which is taken throughout the whole episode. It's starting to remind me of the funeral of the comedian. I had a homeboy of mine. I tried to get him to watch that. God rest his soul. R.I.P. Jace Terrell. We were watching The Watchmen, and he started passing out during the comedian funeral. And I was like, "Hey, Jace, you gotta check this out, man." He was like, "Oh, for real? It's going down? All right." So he dials in, and he starts fading again. And then they cut to another scene, of course, and then Dr. Manhattan's killing people in the Vietnam War, somewhere around there, I think. And then they go back to the funeral. Well, yeah, and he sees Dr. Manhattan doing that, and he fades back out, and I was like, "Hey, Jace, check this out." And it goes back to the funeral. He was like, "Oh God, come on, man, when does it end?" So that's where I kind of make that correlation connection between Zack Snyder Watchmen movie along with James Gunn's Creature Commandos. Lots of origin stories per episode with the action. Maybe a little too many flashbacks, but I get it. He wants to introduce characters. He wants you, the audience, to know who these characters are. So we move on to Dr. Phosphorus playing with a little girl, and he goes into his constant state of, I guess, psychosis. Of how he was tortured into the radiation machine, and he ends up coming back and killing Rupert Thorne before Batman can even get a hold of him. And then he becomes a new gangster. He takes over Rupert Thorne's operations, and then we see a silhouette of Batman. That's it. That's all we got. So I wasn't too happy about that, because you gotta have Batman doing something. The greatest thing I loved about Suicide Squad, David Ayer's Suicide Squad, before James Gunn got a hold of the Suicide Squad, was the fact that Batman was busy. Work in Gotham was good. He was going after Joker and Harley Quinn. He captured what's Will Smith's character, Bloodshot. He captured him in a showdown, and he put these guys in Arkham or whatnot. And they got transferred to Amanda Waller. So that, I thought those crossovers were absolutely amazing. Even the Joker came back later to bail out Harley Quinn. Even though the main plot was pretty terrible, those cameos had me thinking, all right, boom, they just had the death of Superman. They showed the funeral in the beginning. Then they're talking about the Suicide Squad and the people involved, and Batman's capturing villains. He's punching Harley Quinn in the mouth in the water. Hell of a scene. And it's Ben Affleck Batman, so it's a great crossover. That was pretty cool. But, less Batman is more? No, I don't think that works. I don't agree with that. So, with that being said, that is my take on Creature Commando episode 6. I'm sure some of y'all liked it, which is fine. I get it. But, in my case, I think I would, definitely switch up some of how the episodes are told. With this episode, you even could have told most of the story from Rupert Thorne's perspective. But jumping around to multiple stories at once, that it's hard to really buckle things down. Every episode can't be exciting. It shouldn't be. Some episodes should be a little bit of a slow burn. Have some variety in there. That would be my advice as far as that. Every episode can't be a banger. You're going to overstimulate your audience. That's my opinion. Just my opinion. So now, we are going to take a quick break, and we're going to go ahead and dive into Avengers Kang Dynasty, the full movie script. And I'll be providing commentary throughout that and see if there's any salvageable things for that. And while that is going on, I'll be working on this piece, or actually I might be working on my comic book, because now all I have to do is just add the different temperatures of color. And I'm not going to use like the basic, overlays with the layer, multiply, and add or glow. I'm going to actually use like different colors and experiment with that and see what I can really get out of this piece before I send it on its way to its final destination. So, I'm going to go ahead and take a break. We're already 31 minutes in. Shout out to everyone on YouTube, Kick, Twitch, Instagram, Rumble. I did say YouTube. And I think that's everyone. So yeah, shout out to everybody. Again, thank you for joining me this morning or watching the replay when you do get a chance to enjoy it. Three Stroke Studios says hell to the Rumble in chat over on the Rumble side. Thanks for joining me, my friend. Okay, there we go. All right. So, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. Minute or two. We got 17 followers on Kick. Still at 95 on YouTube. I got like almost 220 videos now. Let's get it rolling. Still at 341 on Twitch. Rumble is at 46. I think I had 47 last week, so I don't know what happened. Maybe somebody got banned for spamming me or something. But yeah, let's let the good times roll. And yeah, be right back.
President-elect Garrett Walker. Do I like him? No. Do I believe in him? That's beside the point. Any politician that gets 70 million votes has tapped into something larger than himself, larger than even me, as much as I hate to admit it. Look at that winning smile, those trusting eyes. I latched onto him early on and made myself vital. After 22 years in Congress, I can smell which way the wind is blowing. Oh, Jim Matthews, his right honorable vice president, former governor of Pennsylvania. He did his duty in delivering the Keystone State, bless his heart, and now they're about to put him out to pasture. But he looks happy enough, doesn't he? For some, it's simply the size of the chair. Linda Vasquez, Walker's chief of staff, I got her hired. She's a woman, check, and a Latina, check, but more importantly than that, she's as tough as a $2 steak. Check, check, check. When it comes to the White House, you not only need the keys in your back pocket, you need the gatekeeper. As for me, I'm just the lowly House Majority Whip. I keep things moving in a Congress choked by pettiness and lassitude. My job is to clear the pipes and keep the sludge moving. But I won't have to be a plumber much longer. I've done my time. I've backed the right man. Give him
All right, we are back, and let's go ahead and get started.
Reportedly have a very detailed description of the leaked script for Avengers Kang Dynasty. This is said to be the entire script breakdown from the insider Exiled Scooper, who last night posted all of it online. It's pretty long and it is pretty detailed, and there are two different parts, so let's go over part 1 and part 2. They started off by stating Avengers the Kang Dynasty entire script breakdown written by Jeff Loveness, first revised draft dated 4/28/2023. It says 2/23, I'm assuming that's 2023. Full thread breakdown of the 168-page script, part 1 of 2.
That's
the
great.
movie opens with Kang as he strolls through serene rose fields, his fingers brushing the petals gently. As Kang picks up a rose, his gaze shifts to a woman standing in the distance near a farmhouse, stirring memories of home, family, and a life he may have once known. Suddenly, the peaceful scene is shattered by the sound of shouting, pulling Kang out of his daydream and back to a more chaotic reality. Fast cuts reveal Kang's intense battle with Ant-Man from the ending of Quantumania, where he's driven dangerously close to the multiversal engine core. Kang's once confident expression turns to one of shock as he realizes his impending fate. He is engulfed by the core's energy, his body distorting and shrinking as he is drawn into the chaotic and infinite realms beyond. As Kang plummets.
So I always had this opinion when I saw Ant-Man 3 that Kang being defeated in that would eventually lead to him not truly being dead, but all the other Kangs would take over, and somehow the Avengers would have to convince that Kang, or bring that Kang back, the actual Conqueror, back to wipe out all the other Kangs because they exiled him in the first place. So it's kind of like no one can defeat me but me, which is kind of parallel to the theme in Marvel Rivals, where Doom is the main villain, and his quote in the cinematics is, "No one rivals Doom but Doom," because this is a Doom from another universe. So I think that that kind of script, if it's true at the end, and we'll find out today, we'll find out if that theme was carried over because Kang was no longer economically viable.
Plummets through the multiversal engine core, his body begins contracting rapidly, losing all sense of scale and cohesion as he falls deeper into the multiverse blender. His form turns into an ethereal silhouette surrounded by a dizzying array of colors and light. He's hurled through the chaos of alternate realities, each one more bizarre and incomprehensible than the last. The kaleidoscope of visuals overwhelms him as he screams in agony, unable to process the rapid, disorienting shifts. Eventually, Kang is hurled out of the multiverse and into the Beyond Zone, where he finds himself hurtling through a dark vortex. As he descends further, the light shifts in and out, creating a visual representation of a four-dimensional rabbit hole, constantly flickering between light and dark, almost as if the space itself is speaking to him. Kang's desperate struggle to hang on to the nothingness around him grows more intense as he continues to plunge. The sensation of
Now, I will say the MCU definitely took a different route compared to how they strung the audience along for Thanos, because it took like 10 years for us to actually get to see Thanos in action. Whereas with Kang, he was first introduced in Loki. Season 1, so we got to see him fairly early, and we got to see him defeated fairly early. So Kang Dynasty is kind of tricky because that's a lot of Kangs just dying throughout the ages.
speed is blinding at first, but soon Kang slows and eventually he comes to a stop and lands hard in the eerie quiet of this dimension. Kang is surrounded by swirling energy, chaotic shapes, and colors that defy explanation, amplifying his sense of isolation and confusion. As he floats in the silence, the energy occasionally takes form before dissipating back into the void. His eyes close in a moment of vulnerability as he quietly whispers a name, Ravonna. His voice carries a deep sense of longing and regret, echoing in the vast emptiness of the strange dimension, disconnected from everything he once knew. In the chaotic realm known as the Nexus of All Realities, the Watchers, led by Uatu, confront Immortus and the Council of Kangs, who have come to assert their dominance over the multiverse. Using their immense powers, the Watchers manage to freeze the Kang fleet in stasis, holding them at bay. Immortus, calm and authoritative, sits at the head of the table with his lieutenants, the eager to please Ramatut and the skeptical Centurion. Uatu warns Immortus of the consequences of the Council's actions, urging him to reconsider before they destroy everything. However, Immortus dismisses these warnings, asserting that the multiverse can only be saved through his divine rule. The Council of Kangs retaliates, unleashing a devastating, time-warping blast that shatters the Watchers' defenses and undoes their control over the fleet. Immortus, using a temporal rift, banishes Uatu to the edge of time, overpowering the Watchers and erasing them from existence. As Immortus stands victorious, he coldly dismisses Ramatut's quest for...
So, I'm trying to figure out if this would have been released before Marvel's What If Season 3. But nonetheless, it seems like the Watchers were always meant to be in action um, in some form or fashion to protect their realm, of course.
For approval and reveals his total control over all destinies. The Centurion, still doubtful about Immortus' true motives, expresses concern, but Immortus chillingly asserts that fear is what keeps them alive. With the Watchers gone, the Council of Kings prepare for battle, unfreezing their warships and setting their sights on Earth 616 to destroy the Avengers and retrieve Shang-Chi's 10 rings and Miss Marvel's negabands, relics of immense power from the previous multiversal war that could reshape reality and rid the multiverse of all heroes and mutants as they pose a threat to the Kangs. As the nexus of all realities falls into disarray, time and reality begin to slowly fracture. Loki's voiceover reflects on the prophecy from He Who Remains, warning that the multiverse will collapse. Yggdrasil, the tree holding the multiverse together, flickers, symbolizing Loki's role as the god of time. The image of burning timelines and crumbling realities underscores the chaos. Meanwhile, at the TVA, Mobius and B-15 walk through the headquarters, concerned about the growing crisis. TVA agents analyze data on Kang variant patterns, preparing for the battle ahead. Loki's voiceover grows darker, warning that the Council of Kangs will destroy the multiverse, leaving it as nothing more than dust. His gaze shifts to potential anchor beings / heroes. Wolverine, Deadpool, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Nick Cage's Ghost Rider, and the Fantastic Four family, including a young Franklin Richards, who may be the last hope to save the multiverse. At the TVA,
So I heard that they couldn't afford Nick Cage's Ghost Rider in Deadpool 3. That would be interesting that he would have been in multiple movies for that being the case. And I think Cage is going to be in like the new Avengers one. I think that's going to have Doomsday or whoever the villain is going to be in it, Secret Wars or whatever. So it's still on the way. Parts of this script is still translating over to things without Jonathan Majors.
preparations for the impending collapse are underway. The Fantastic Four and TVA are constructing a space raft / ark to gather anchor beings from across the multiverse before it's too late. As Loki watches the timelines shift and crumble, panic sets in, and he realizes time is running out. With regret and fear, he watches the destruction of the multiverse unfold, ending with a haunting reflection on the uncertainty of their future as the screen fades to black. Then the main title rolls, Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. Scott Lang wakes up in a cold sweat, haunted by visions of Kang's twisted face and prophetic words. Struggling with PTSD, he clutches a photo of his daughter, Cassie, for comfort. But the dread lingers. As he paces his room in panic, he attempts to reach out to Happy Hogan and Sam Wilson, but both calls go unanswered, deepening his sense of isolation and guilt. In a state of desperation and paranoia, Scott leaves a voicemail for Happy Hogan. He expresses frustration at not being able to reach the Avengers, referencing his past heroics, including saving the universe and battling Thanos. Scott reveals he's been struggling with PTSD, haunted by Kang's face and voice, and is even taking a break from hope, unsure how to cope with the overwhelming psychological toll. Scott Lang, feeling isolated and defeated, pleads for a call back, but after ending the call, he slumps against the wall, overwhelmed by the emptiness of his current life. He looks at a photo of his daughter, Cassie, which brings a brief sense of comfort, hearing her reassuring voice in his mind. Despite his past as a hero, Scott feels forgotten and burdened by the looming threat of Kang's prophecy, the weight of which consumes him in the cold silence of his own thoughts. At Empire State University, Peter and Miles sit near the back of the classroom, barely paying attention.
Levi said, what was Nick Cage charging? I thought he was tight on money from tax stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I think the big issue with Ghost Rider in general is just how much the special effects would cost. Just for that character with the flaming hair and all that. That's the biggest issue when it comes to pricing. So like it's almost like the character outprices the actual actor. Because I know Nick Cage, I mean, he's done some low budget movies and still rocks them out. So he's gone from a wide range of super cheap films just to have him pop in it, to sleepers like that. What was it called? Rainfield movie, which I heard was pretty good.
Peter teases Miles about his unconventional method of stopping a robbery the night before. Miles had used a clipboard and his webbing, calling it paperwork justice to prevent the crime. Peter jokes that he prefers a simpler approach, punching criminals and avoiding the paperwork. Despite their banter, there's an underlying tension with Peter that we cannot yet place. The mood shifts when their teacher calls on Peter, who is caught off guard by the question and weighed down by his thoughts, freezes. The pressure of the moment intensifies as the class waits, some growing impatient. Sensing Peter's discomfort, Miles offers a quiet, supportive encouragement. Peter manages to snap out of his fog, delivers the answer with a weak example, and forces a smile. His classmates chuckle as the bell rings. Peter and Miles pack up, but Peter's attention is diverted by his phone. He sees a picture of MJ and Ned laughing at MIT. The real blow comes when he scrolls down and sees an image of MJ kissing her new boyfriend. Peter is visibly shaken by the...
Which MJ is it? Is it Tom Holland? I think I might have missed that. Whether it's Tom Holland or Tobey Maguire. I don't know.
Emotional weight, struggling to process his feelings. Meanwhile, Miles...
Oh, so it probably is Tobey Maguire, because I've already heard that Tobey Maguire is signed up for Spider-Man 4, and he's in Avengers, one of the Avengers movies, and I think one other movie as well.
Unaware, suggests they come up with a cool duo name like Spider Pals. Peter, distracted, responds weakly with Spider Bros, masking his pain with humor. Miles senses something's off and gently reassures Peter, telling him he's more than just Spider-Man and that he has everything he needs. Peter nods but doesn't fully internalize the reassurance. As they leave the classroom, Peter and Miles walk through the bustling campus. They're already in their Spider-Man suits beneath their clothes. They pass a corner and exchange a knowing glance before swinging into the air. As they swing through the city, Miles jokes about being on time for once at Joe's Pizza Shop, where they work part-time. Kamala Khan has been recently struggling with disturbing visions that blur the lines between her own reality. In her recent nightmares, she finds herself looking through someone else's eyes, watching a figure with powers similar to hers struggle in a crumbling city. A distorted voice, Monica Rambeau's, reaches out to her, warning her of something urgent. But the dream abruptly cuts off, leaving Kamala confused and desperate for answers. The next day, Kamala seeks answers from Carol/Captain Marvel.
Yeah, it seems a lot of warnings, kind of like Thanos is coming, We couldn't have Silver Surfer in Infinity War, so we got Hulk instead to warn Doctor Strange. And it seems like, this is kind of like a repeating offense for the Kang Dynasty type thing. Let us continue.
Expressing her concerns about the dreams and the figure she keeps seeing. Kamala convinces Carol to investigate, and together, they travel to Comertage, hoping to consult Doctor Strange or someone who might have insight into the strange occurrence. Upon the arrival at the Comertage, Wong greets them, initially with sarcasm, but quickly shifts to a more serious tone as Kamala explains her situation. She reveals her bangle's role in her visions, and Wong quickly deduces that the bangle is more than just an heirloom. It's a powerful beacon, potentially attracting attention from across the multiverse. He warns Kamala to stop using it, fearing that her actions could destabilize the multiverse even further. Meanwhile, on the West Coast, Shang-Chi is with Bruce Banner/the Hulk and She-Hulk, who have all been since testing and investigating the 10 rings. When Wong urgently contacts him, Shang-Chi, despite his initial reluctance, Wong's serious tone makes him realize the rings may be tied to something bigger than them. He agrees to wait for Wong before they run any more tests on the rings. In the vibrant nation of Wakanda, Sam Wilson, now the new Captain America, stands before his team in deep thought. Sam has been working endlessly since the events of Brave New World to bring together the currently scattered Avengers.
Oh, so this is going to take place after Brave New World. So that means Red Hulk is already a thing. And yeah, interesting. That puts product placement into perspective.
As he watches his new recruits, including Joaquin Torres, the new Falcon, and Riri Williams, Ironheart, Rhodey, also known as War Machine, making adjustments to their tech, and a sense of heaviness hangs over him. Despite his determination, the weight of Steve Rogers' legacy looms large. As the team assembles, Sam expresses his worry over the absence of key Avengers like Doctor Strange and Thor scattered across the galaxy. Riri suggests solving the problem with a portal or two, but Sam knows it's more complicated than that. Some heroes don't even want to be found. Shuri reassures him, acknowledging the difficulty of the task, but reminding him of his strength and heart. Shuri remains skeptical, questioning how Sam plans to succeed with such an incomplete team against unimaginable foes. Sam, however, is resolute. He may not have godlike strength or mystic powers, but he has the people around him, and together they will fight for each other and for the world. Sam acknowledges Wakanda's support, with Shuri offering the nation's technology and resources. Meanwhile, Kang the Conqueror travels through the desolate Beyond Zone, where the haunting sounds of distant screams grow louder with each step. These cries stir painful memories of his lost world, intensifying until they become a maddening presence, drowning him in sorrow and regret. The weight of these sounds forces him to stop, overwhelmed by emotional toll they take on him, as fleeting images of his past life flash in his mind, a stark reminder of the devastation he's endured. Amid the overwhelming cacophony, Kang is confronted by the spectral figure of a child. The child's gaze is filled with sadness and unspoken accusations, causing Kang to hesitate. As the boy's eyes hold him, memories of happier times flood his mind, but they are quickly overshadowed by the guilt of his broken promises. Unable to bear the emotional weight.
So this may be another avenue where Kang's childhood version is what's left of his innocence. Might be something that the Avengers may be able to appeal to convert him. I mean, like, some Kang has to be fighting another Kang, obviously, because that's what they set this up for.
Kang collapses, his grief and regret consuming him. His voice trembles as he asks, "Am I dead?" The child shakes his head, and Kang, in a whisper, asks, "Do you know where I am?" The child responds cryptically, hinting at a deeper connection, speaking of how his mother said he has Kang's eyes. In disbelief, Kang mutters, "You're not real," and tries to distance himself from the apparition. But the boy's words cut through him like a blade, accusing him of failing his family. "Why didn't you come back for us?" the child demands, each word intensifying Kang's guilt. The child's voice trembles with sorrow as he sits beside Kang, accusing him of allowing their deaths. Kang, filled with desperation, pleads that he will find a way to bring them back. But the world feels empty now, hollow, just as the weight of Kang's failure threatens to consume him. A familiar voice echoes from the darkness, speaking of destiny. The voice abruptly cuts off, and Kang frantically calls out, "Rabona," but his search yields nothing but silence, leaving him alone in the endless void, trapped in the haunting shadows of his past. The energy from the probability storm crackles in the air, and something shifts within Kang. His mind fractures, breaking open as the storm gives him the power to manifest multiplicities, clones of himself.
The probability storm. That sounds very much like hex magic via Scarlet Witch. But we'll see. We'll see.
Much like the distorted versions he once saw in the quantum realm. At first, it's disorienting, the clones materializing around him like ghostly reflections, each one a distorted, twisted version of Kang. They all are him, but not him, their eyes filled with the same hunger for control that pulses within his own chest. The clones begin to multiply, their forms flooding the barren landscape, each one asserting dominance, fighting to claim control over the other. Kang is surrounded, trapped in a chaos of his own creation. His mind begins to unravel as the clones fight for supremacy, each one an echo of his worst impulses, each one a version of himself that he cannot escape. They mock him, taunt him with his failures, and as they clash, Kang finds himself locked in a battle not only with his physical clones, but with the demons of his own mind.
Now, I can't figure out whether this is a past scene, like a flashback, how Kang came to multiply itself, If that's the case, it might be how we got the Council of Kangs. So I can't quite tell whether this is a scene from the past or just a scene where, um, it all, I don't know, maybe a scene where it just loops in his mind. But I guess we need to understand this in order to understand what is coming next or what would have been. Correction, because none of this is coming next. It's been canceled. Hey, what's going on? Hey, Hagman, how you been, man? What's the good word? Check out Hey Hagman on Twitter, and he's Kirby on YouTube. He's over there with Diller Draws, and pops in over on, I guess, Dark Gift and Lord Raptor Jesus. Check them all out.
The battle becomes more than physical. It is a metaphorical war, one that represents Kang's struggles to confront his deepest regrets. Every punch, every clash with his clones is a manifestation of his guilt, his inability to save his wife, his child, his civilization. The sheer weight of these failures becomes unbearable, as the clones, now swarming like an uncontrollable tide, begin to reflect his darkest fears. They become the voices in his head, amplifying the terror and sorrow he's buried deep within. As the clones close in on him, Kang's mind is plunged into pure chaos. The storm's energy distorts reality, warping his perception until he is lost within a maelstrom of his own making. He is no longer sure what is real. His mind, a fractured labyrinth of fractured selves. His past, his failures, his sins all blur together, becoming a cacophony of despair. The battle for control, both of his clones and his own sanity, becomes an endless cycle of violence and regret, each moment amplifying the horror of his mind's descent into madness. Back on Earth 616, Miles and Peter's boss has warned them not to be late again or they'll lose their jobs, and both of them desperately need the money to pay rent or face being kicked out of their apartments. As they swing through the bustling streets, they spot a petty crime in progress. A thief is attempting to steal from a store. In a coordinated effort, Peter and Miles intervene, skillfully subduing the thief, and eventually both of them end up getting fired. Peter and Miles exit Joe's Pizza, visibly upset. Their boss storms off, snatching the pizza boxes from their hands, leaving them alone.
Damn, how can two Peter Parkers in the same universe both get fired? That's jacked up, man. I mean, the history with Joe's Pizza, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man had to deal with was pretty brutal. I think he got fired in number 2, Spider-Man 2, which was a trip. This makes me want to go back and watch it. Those Spider-Man with Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire were classic. Even Spider-Man 3, I know it was a mess. Still better than the MCU stuff up today. Hey, Hagman said, just woke up doing some writing. Excellent. That's what I like to hear, sir. Get those brain storming energies flowing and let the creativity push forward to a greater destiny.
Alone in the busy city. Miles tries to lighten the mood with a joke, but Peter, clearly stressed, begins to vent his eternal conflict. He accuses Miles of not taking their duty seriously enough, emphasizing the weight of responsibility that comes with being Spider-Man. Miles, taken aback by Peter's words, stands in silence, hurt. Peter, realizing the harshness of his outburst, pauses, torn between his own frustration and his concern for Miles. Miles, soft but firm, responds, "I'm sorry, Pete. I just want us to get through this together." His words reveal both vulnerability and resolve, showing he's ready to carry the burden alongside Peter. Peter hesitates for a moment, but ultimately, consumed by his own stress, including the personal issue of MJ having a new boyfriend, he turns away, disappearing into the crowd. Miles watches Peter walk away. Doctor Strange and Clea return to Kamar-Taj after their dangerous journey through the dark dimension, their faces marked with urgency and concern. They immediately seek out Wong, aware that time is critical. The two of them reveal the alarming details about the Council of Kangs, a multiversal force growing in power and posing a threat not just to their world, but to countless others across the multiverse. As they discuss the imminent threat, Doctor Strange's focus slips as he experiences a disturbing vision of the multiverse. He sees an interconnected web of worlds on the brink of destruction, each one ravaged by the Council of Kangs' malevolent influence. The vision highlights how fragile their reality is and the extent of the damage caused by the Council's actions. Wong, observing
Sounds like the similar vision that Van Dyne saw when she touched Kang's ship in Ant-Man 3.
the unfolding vision, becomes acutely aware of the immense threat they face and the stakes involved. Wong agrees that swift action is necessary but points out a major complication. The Avengers are scattered across the universe, with many members off planet, leaving their team fractured and unable to respond quickly. Wong also raises the possibility that the beacon from Shang-Chi's rings might be signaling the Council of Kangs, a thought that immediately captures Doctor Strange's attention. As the conversation intensifies, the atmosphere outside changes dramatically. The sky darkens and the air crackles with energy as a mysterious shape begins to emerge from the stormy clouds. Clint Barton, Hawkeye, having returned to his quiet hometown in Iowa for a brief respite, walks into town to grab a few items from the local shop, hoping for a moment of normalcy away from the chaos of his past as an Avenger. As he approaches the small store, he notices an unusual stillness in the air, the skies gradually darkening as if a storm were brewing. It's an eerie contrast to the calm day he had expected. His attention is drawn to the growing crowd of townspeople gathered outside.
The shadowy figure turns around and destroys a huge building in front of them. And it's Shao Kahn. You weak, pathetic fools. I've come for your souls. But then Raiden lands and says, I don't think so. No, I'm kidding. Sorry. Couldn't help it.
Eyes fixed on something in the sky. A mix of curiosity and unease builds with Clint as murmurs and whispers ripple through the crowd. Then a scream pierces the air, followed by more panicked cries. People are running, scrambling to find shelter or escape whatever threat looms above. Clint's heart skips a beat as his instincts kick in. He steps outside, squinting against the oppressive air, and his gaze is immediately drawn upward. The terror in his chest deepens as he stares in horror.
Why is the air oppressive? I don't understand that.
At the sky, watching as an ominous, otherworldly presence takes shape. An image of pure malevolence unlike anything he's ever seen. In LA, Simon Williams, also known as Wonder Man, is struggling with deep depression after the recent tragic loss of his fiancée in a car crash. In the days following the incident, Simon has isolated himself from his friends, including Wong, Shang-Chi.
So this Simon Williams, is this the black dude that got casted? The one that played Morpheus in the Matrix, what was it called? Matrix Revolution or something like that. I forgot the latest one, the fourth Matrix movie. That guy that played Smith / Morpheus, the program. I wonder if it's the same guy.
She-Hulk, and Hulk, unable to cope with the grief. His longtime best friend, Trevor Slattery, noticing Simon's emotional withdrawal, convinces him to join a group outing. They plan to watch a live Shakespeare play, Julius Caesar, in downtown Los Angeles. At the play, Simon begins to feel increasingly uneasy during the pivotal scene where Julius Caesar is surrounded by the Senate.
Wait a minute, She-Hulk is in this? Oh, this joint's a bust. The show's over, ladies and gents, sorry. This is an automatic walk out of the theater. She-Hulk's in it. Oh, I'm done. I'm out. Now let me stop.
And stabbed multiple times. As the brutal moment unfolds, Simon is overcome with anxiety, wincing with each stab, unable to separate his emotional pain from the scene on stage. Distressed and overwhelmed, Simon abruptly leaves the theater. He turns a corner into an alleyway, his anxiety rising fast. He puts on his headphones to block out the world, hoping for a reprieve from his grief. As Simon sits in silence, he suddenly notices something strange. The world has come to a standstill. Everyone on the street is frozen, staring up at the sky. Curiosity and dread fill him as he removes his headphones. What he sees sends a wave of terror through him. The arrival of the Council of Kangs in the 616 universe causes widespread panic and chaos. Immortus, utilizing his powerful telepathic abilities, projects a chilling message across the skies of Earth, declaring the Council's intention to purge the Earth for the sins of the Avengers.
Ooh, he just pulled a Skeletor. Pretty interesting. I don't know. Y'all tell me what you think. I think this script doesn't sound that bad. It's just not enough exciting Avenger members that we actually want to see. That's what makes this script kind of tough. Or if it were a movie, because as I'm listening along, I'm kind of like seeing these scenes in my head, how they would have turned out. Just doesn't hit the same, as if Tony Stark and um, Steve Rogers were involved.
Avengers. The Council accuses the Avengers of stealing the sacred relics, 10 rings, and negabands, and sees the cleansing of Earth as a necessary punishment to preserve the stability of the multiverse. As the main trio's message reverberates across the globe, fear grips the citizens of Earth 616. In various locations, individuals react in shock and disbelief. Hank, Janet, and Hope are paralyzed by guilt, with Janet overwhelmed, convinced that the Council's arrival is her fault. Meanwhile, Scott Lang and his daughter, Cassie, watch from Scott's apartment in San Francisco.
Now, here's what makes it tough. The plot devices are clearly the Miss Marvel's bangs and the 10 rings, which aren't actually rings; they're bracelets. Out of anything else, the Council of Kangs could have picked. Those are like the most important, even over the Infinity Stones. I get it. We're supposed to act like the Infinity Stones don't exist anymore, right? It's just odd, It's just kind of odd. As a way to make it seem like Shang-Chi and Miss Marvel are that legendarily important, like Vision was, because he had the Mind Stone. Scarlet Witch was because her powers came from the Mind Stone in the MCU. But apparently, clearly, Quicksilver wasn't that important because his powers came from that too, and they ain't even worried about his origin story.
While Peter Parker, Daredevil, and Moon Knight each witnessed the projection from their respective cities. Sam Wilson, Shuri, and Riri in Wakanda are also glued to the television as the broadcast spreads worldwide. The global panic escalates as cities descend into chaos. Social media and news outlets amplify the fear, causing widespread civil unrest. Emergency services are overwhelmed, and families struggle to find safety as law and order break down in the wake of the Council's terrifying message. Massive multiversal portals tear open in the sky, revealing the enormous fleet of the Council of Kangs. The sheer scale of the warships cast an ominous shadow over Earth, sending
people of Eternia. Sorry, couldn't help it.
Waves of fear and disbelief across the globe. As the ships strategically position themselves above key cities, their intimidating presence overwhelms the populace. The Council of Kangs warships hover menacingly over Earth's major cities, releasing devastating energy blasts that shatter skyscrapers and landmarks with terrifying ease. The attacks are immediate and catastrophic, as iconic structures crumble and entire cityscapes are reduced to rubble. Civilians, caught in the chaos, flee for their lives, running through streets filled with debris, their faces etched with fear and confusion. Elsewhere, Star-Lord and his grandfather sit in a tense, suffocating silence in the church, surrounded by a congregation staring blankly at their phones. The Council of Kangs has issued a cold, merciless warning. Earth's destruction is imminent. The pastor's attempts to guide the service toward prayer feel utterly futile, drowned by the looming terror that fills the room. There's no comfort to be found, only a growing sense of dread as the reality of their fate settles in. Peter feels the weight of the moment, the world crashing down on him as the quiet murmur of the congregation only amplifies the despair his grandfather watches him, silent, the sadness between them unspoken. Outside, the flash of an explosion ignites the horizon. Peter's heart sinks as he calculates the blast's radius, a grim certainty settling over him. He turns to his grandfather, their eyes meeting in shared resignation. The explosion shatters the church windows, and the chaos erupts in an instant. People scramble for the door, desperate, but it's too late. There's nowhere to run. The blast wave crashes in, and the church, their last sanctuary, is obliterated in devastation. Across the world, emergency services struggle to maintain control, overwhelmed by the scale of destruction and hampered by
Why is it important to destroy a church? Well, we know how that goes when it comes to Marvel, Disney.
collapsed communication networks. The sky is darkened by smoke and flames as the full force of the invasion unfolds, leaving Earth's metropolises in ruins and the survivors scrambling to survive. Amidst the apocalyptic chaos, New York City's skyline is now crumbling under the might of the Council of Kangs' relentless assault. The air seems to twist and crush as buildings buckle and collapse in on themselves, as if the very fabric of reality is being warped. The Kang's devastating ray beams strike the city, sending shockwaves through the ground and causing skyscrapers to tilt precariously before toppling, triggering massive explosions as they collide. The destruction spreads quickly, leaving the city in ruins. In the heart of the chaos, Spider-Man swings tirelessly through the wreckage, dodging falling debris and landmarks as he makes his way toward MIT to save Ned and MJ.
Now, Spider-Man web swinging is also always a treat to watch. I'm sure that was a great scene. I'm curious to see what the Council of Kangs, their warships look like. Like, what was it kind of inspired by? I'm just curious, kind of see like the concept art. If anybody runs across it, by all means, please tag me in it on X. Rob Wilson Arts on X. Bazooka Barrage.
The scene is a frantic race against time. With destruction all around him, Miles Morales, also swinging through the devastation, catches up to Peter, urging him to stop and get to safety. Miles pleads that continuing like this will only lead to their deaths, but Peter ignores him, his determination to save his friends outweighing the peril surrounding them. The two Spider-Men then look up in horror as the Kangs activate a second, even more powerful wave of destruction. The city is plunged deeper into the chaos as buildings continue to fall, one after another, their flaming debris raining down on the streets below. The energy pulses grow increasingly violent, and firestorms ravage entire districts, consuming everything in their path. Amid the chaos, Miles is almost crushed by a falling skyscraper, but Peter manages to save him just in time. Meanwhile, Sam Wilson leads his team of Avengers, Shuri, Riri Williams, War Machine, and Joaquin Torres, through the skies in their spacecraft, witnessing the full scale of the Council of Kangs' devastating assault on Earth. The massive warships block out the sun, unleashing a wave of destruction that obliterates entire cities. Buildings and landmarks are torn from their foundations and hurled into the sky, with entire districts disappearing into the warship's gravitational pull. The team can barely process the chaos below as the cities they once knew are reduced to ruin in seconds. As their spacecraft struggles to stay in control, the Avengers realize they've been caught in the warship's gravitational field, spiraling uncontrollably through the sky. The destruction below intensifies as buildings, landmarks, and people are sucked into the vacuum, tumbling through the air toward the approaching warships. Their ship is thrown across continents, careening from Wakanda and plummeting toward Tokyo. The Avengers' ship is violently tossed, battling against the overwhelming pull of the warships as it heads towards the devastated city. The warship...
Now that sounds crazy. Now, the Avengers ships, are we talking about Quinjets? Who's Nick Fury? I don't think I've heard Nick Fury yet. And I don't think that they're talking about a SHIELD helicarrier, because I think SHIELD's been disbanded. But where did that technology go? Yeah, I am kind of curious what kind of ships are they talking about the Avengers, for the Avengers? Are they Quinjets? Are they just generics? Are they the ones that, what's her name had? Black Widow. When in Captain America Civil War. Is it the one that, it might have been the same one from her movie, Black Widow's movie, because she rolled out and hopped in some kind of Avengers jet at the end of that movie. So just curious, that way I can kind of correlate and connect the design and say, oh, okay, it's that kind of ship. See if it's something we're familiar with. While we're at it, let me take a quick break. Be sure to grab your favorite beverage of some kind, or refill that favorite beverage. and get started with the next part. We're almost at the halfway point, so I think it's starting to get a little interesting. Let me go ahead and share with you guys what I got so far. I've been coloring this guy. So I started working his pants. I cleaned up all the outline stuff. Now I got to start working on the lighting for like his palm and all that based on the fire. Bring down the fire, you know. So that's what I got. And sit tight. I'll be right back.
Transferring to autopilot mode.
A place where good guys finish last.
I'll make them wish they'd never been born.
A quick draw is the best defense.
Nothing personal, but I'm here to kill you.
And your wits are all you can count on. A future where one treasure is coveted above all else.
Tell me the coordinates of the galactic ley line.
Legend speaks of the galactic ley line, offering the ultimate power of the universe to those who seek its glory.
The doors have opened.
Utilizing the latest technology, a living starship has been built with the power to find the galactic ley line.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All systems green.
By twist of fate, it has fallen into the hands of an outlaw. An outlaw named Gene Starwind.
Well, let's blow some hot kisses to my devoted fans.
His luck is about to change.
Goodbye, G.
Together with his crew of bounty hunters, he'll take to the stars.
Accelerate and fly down their throats.
Outlaw Star. Weekdays at 5:30. Time to roll the dice. All playing Toonami.
All right. All right. We are back. Let's continue. So far, I think this isn't that bad. It's probably about a 6-ish out of 10 story-wise, just because there's so much going on in it. This would be the first iteration of kind of like the Avengers movie, because I think they were only going to do 2. And then they'll disperse and probably go to the Young Avengers from there. Maybe one of the 2 would have been a 2-parter, that kind of thing. But yeah, so far I think it seems, watchable for the most part. It's just nowhere near as exciting as like the first Avengers movie would have been, nor the second. So that's where we're at with this. But I would have watched it. It would have been a visual conundrum, very interesting.
Ship's relentless assault casts an enormous shadow over Tokyo, where entire buildings are ripped from the ground and sucked into the sky. As the Avengers spacecraft approaches, they navigate through a deadly storm of falling skyscrapers, violent tremors, and energy blasts from the warships, which incinerate everything in their path. Shuri and Torres work tirelessly to steer the craft, narrowly avoiding disaster as the city crumbles beneath them. Tokyo is engulfed in flames, and the Avengers struggle to hold on as the destruction continues. On the West Coast, Cassie, Janet, Hope, and Hank are killed, victims of the unrelenting chaos that has torn the world apart. In the heart of the destruction, Scott finds Cassie, cradles her in his arms, his tears mingling with dust and ash that surrounds them. In a matter of hours, billions are killed as the destruction continues on an unimaginable scale. Most of Earth is transformed into a post-apocalyptic wasteland, with the few remaining nations easily conquered by the Council of Kangs. The once thriving planet is left in utter devastation, with skeletons and charred corpses littering the streets. The fires from the initial attacks burn so intensely that soot and smoke begin to block out the sun, casting the world into perpetual darkness. A nuclear fallout ensues, ushering in a deadly winter, further exacerbating the catastrophe. After the Council of Kangs' devastating invasion, the surviving Avengers, world leaders, and remnants of S.H.I.E.L.D. retreated to Wakanda, the only sanctuary untouched by the destruction. With communications systems shattered and the Avengers scattered, he sends out a desperate distress call, urging any surviving heroes to return. One by one, they began to arrive. Thor, his daughter Love, Adam Warlock, Rocket, Groot, Phyla-Vell, Cosmo, Shang-Chi, Wonder Man, Wong, America Chavez, Doctor Strange, Clea, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Daredevil, Punisher, Ant-Man, Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, Star-Lord, Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, and Hulk. The rest are either dead or lost to the chaos. In Wakanda, the Avengers gathered in silence, weighed down by the grief and the devastating losses they had suffered at the hands of the Council of Kangs. Sam Wilson steps forward and reminds the team that, while the Kangs may have shattered their world, they hadn't broken their spirits.
So this is kind of like that Loki moment, where Loki set them all up in the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier to unleash the Hulk. And Hawkeye secretly worked for Loki and kind of damaged things. Alpha Proto, what up, man? Say, I hope everyone is having a good New Year. Same to you, man. Same to you. But yeah, that's what this scene right here is kind of reminiscent of that. So like the Avengers are kind of brooding. Phil Coulson's been stabbed by Loki. They took a hit. Nick Fury, he shows the bloody cards of that Coulson had. He wanted Cap to sign his Captain America trading card. That's what this scene kind of feels like to me. So there's some very obvious similarities of certain tropes and parts in the Avengers movies, and we see it being revisited again, just with a different cast. Double the Spider-Man. And so I think there's going to be a different iteration of this, because this is still going to lead towards Doctor Doom. So I think Doctor Doom was always on the table. They just kind of sped him up they sped up his announcement to kind of calm everybody down after, the switch out from Jonathan Majors.
Sam's words reignite a spark within the Avengers, urging them to rise again, as they had in the past when faced with insurmountable odds. He emphasized that they were not defeated, and that now, more than ever, it was time to take the fight to the Kangs. Sam, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange declared that the Avengers would no longer wait for the Kangs to strike again. They would lead the charge. Armed with the powerful 10 rings and negabands, Sam urges the team to use these weapons, which the Kangs sought to control, to turn the tide in their favor. This battle wasn't just about revenge, it was about protecting the future of the world and their loved ones. With his shield raised, Sam's rallying cry filled the team with determination, and the Avengers are ready to strike back. Sam, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man organize the Avengers into 3 teams, with Spider-Man leading the street-level team to infiltrate the main Kang fortress built on the ruins of Washington, D.C. There, the main trio, Immortus, Rama-Tut, and the Centurion, are using the fortress as a conduit to merge the 10 rings and negabands into a weapon capable of reshaping reality. The Avengers need to stop them before it's too late. The teams break down. Earthbound team, target Immortus, objective,
Wait a minute. They're forging the bands 10 rings to create a weapon. That just hit me as kind of like a callback to, what's her name? The succubus from the Suicide Squad, where she spent half the movie doing that while the incubus kind of washed her back, and the Suicide Squad went to go kill her. What was her name? The Enchantress. Another character that both kind of like Marvel and DC kind of shied away from. I mean, Enchantress was a villain of one movie, but she ended up being somebody else. So that was kind of a ploy. And then we still haven't seen Enchantress from Loki. We were fooled in Loki season 1 that was Enchantress, but it's just female Loki. But yeah, that scene, that's what that kind of reminds me of. Hopefully the Kangs wouldn't have been doing some weird dance like the Enchantress was in Suicide Squad.
Destroy Demacul's base and keep the negabands safe. Captain America, Captain Marvel, Hulk, Wonder Man, Black Panther, Miss Marvel, Star-Lord, She-Hulk, Rocket Raccoon, Groot, Falcon. Street level team, target Rama-Tut. Objective, destroy Rama-Tut's fortress and the conduit. Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Daredevil, Punisher, Ant-Man, Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, Ironheart, and War Machine.
Dang,
Cosmic
that's a
team,
lot of
target
characters.
the Centurion. Objective, keep the 10 rings safe. Doctor Strange, Clea, Wong, America Chavez, Thor, Love, Shang-Chi, Adam Warlock, Phyla-Vell, Cosmo. As Captain America leads the Earthbound team towards Immortus' warship in space, their mission is to destroy the Demacul's base and secure the negabands, preventing Immortus from...
Is Phyla-Vell, is that was that freaking Jude Law? His character from Captain Marvel? I'm trying to remember now. Huh. And then Love. I don't know who would have played her. So that's interesting too. Kind of see where these characters came from. Let's continue. Almost there. We're almost there. We're pushing on through.
From harnessing their immense power. However, Earth's remaining leaders, distrustful of the Avengers' ability to handle the threat, secretly activate Earth's final defense. Sentinels built from the adamantium of a dead celestial. The Sentinels, designed to neutralize superpowers.
That sounds interesting. Now I wonder what the Sentinels look kind of like. The Sentries? No, not Sentries. What are those things called? Of the Kree. Yeah, I think they were Sentries. I think they were called Sentries. They were kind of big like Sentinels as well. I'm curious. Let's keep going.
Our threats are unleashed against Immortus. It's revealed that General Ross had authorized the program, viewing the Avengers as a potential danger to global security. As the team heads into space, Rocket lightens the mood with a familiar joke, asking who hasn't been to space. Captain America raises his hand, prompting Rocket to tease him about being a space virgin. Upon reaching Immortus' warship, the team learns the true power of the negabands, which surpass the 10 rings when used correctly. Immortus believes they are the holiest relic in Kang's mythos. The battle rages on between Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and the street-level team as they face off against Rama-Tut and his Kang army as they try to break into the fortress. The battle intensifies with Daredevil and Punisher fighting fiercely to hold their ground. Daredevil uses every ounce of his training, relying on his senses and reflexes to dodge and counter as the Kang variants close in from all directions.
That I would
the
love
fight
to
reaches
see.
a fever pitch as they both become surrounded. Outnumbered, but never yielding, In the final moments, Daredevil summons every remaining ounce of strength, leaping into a series of rapid strikes that incapacitate the last two wave of variants. His breath is ragged, his body bruised and battered, and he is engulfed by the many Kang variants. During the chaos, Ramatut strikes Spider-Man with a powerful blow from his scepter weapon, sending the hero flying across the battlefield. Spider-Man, who is badly beat up and bloody, struggles to get back on his feet, but his injuries are severe and he collapses, barely able to move. Fueled by rage and desperation, Miles Morales steps forward, enraged and determined to confront Ramatut. He challenges the villain with defiance in his eyes, refusing to back down despite the overwhelming danger. Ramatut, unimpressed, mocks Miles' bravery, finding his actions both foolish and amusing. Spider-Man, barely conscious, watches in horror as Miles stands firm against the tyrant. He reaches out weakly, shouting for Miles to stop, but it's too late. Miles is impaled by Ramatut's scepter and killed. Spider-Man watches in horror, unable to move.
I believe I said Sentry, yes. Okay, yeah, I remember I had to fight one of those in Marvel Avengers as part of the storyline. I think MODOK, or the doctor that worked with MODOK, she had activated an old Sentry, and you had to fight him with the team. But yeah, those things are badass. But a Sentinel, that's a surprise for this movie. That's a pretty good Easter egg. That I think it nullifies powers too, so that would have been a heck of a challenge. I haven't heard anything of what like Wolverine or Deadpool doing, because maybe they just made a cameo. It's interesting because they mentioned them earlier.
Doctor Strange and Clea lead the cosmic team in battle against the Centurion in many different realms, including the Gap Junction. During this fight, Love and Phyla-Vell form a deep bond, their friendship growing stronger as they battle together. The Centurion is initially overpowered by Doctor Strange, Clea, Thor, and the others, particularly due to the power of Shang-Chi's 10 rings. As the fight escalates, the entire group is transported to the Quantum Realm. Despite the Centurion's strength, he manages to kill most of the team except for Doctor Strange, Thor, and Shang-Chi, who has leveled up with the aid of the 10 rings. In a moment of defiance, Shang-Chi prevents the Centurion from claiming his father's rings, shouting back in resistance. As Clea succumbs to her injuries, she uses her blade to create a portal back to Earth 616, allowing the surviving heroes a chance to escape. However, the Centurion steals Doctor Strange's sling ring, an important multiversal relic similar to the 10 rings and Negabands.
People keep stealing. People keep stealing those daggone sling rings. That's like the most highly snatched, cuffed, confiscated like thing that keeps getting taken in almost every movie. It's interesting. It's interesting. But you know how it goes. You gotta chase and catch the sling ring.
Doctor Strange convinces the team to leave him behind so he can pursue Centurion through the multiverse, hoping to stop him before it's too late. Along the way, Doctor Strange encounters the Fantastic Four, who inform Doctor Strange of an impending catastrophe that could threaten the survival of his friends and the entire multiverse. Doctor Strange manages to reclaim his sling ring just as the Centurion escapes to Immortus' warship. The Fantastic Four introduce Strange to the TVA, warning him that something monumental is about to occur. They ask for his help, as only he may be able to prevent the disaster and ensure his friend's survival. During the intense battle in space, the Earthbound team suffers heavy.
Meanwhile, Adam Warlock is no strategist throughout this whole movie because James Gunn chose to make him mentally challenged in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'll never forgive him for that. Levi Skeen said, "You gotta catch them all." Right. Damn sling rings.
Heavy casualties, with most of the Avengers dying, including Black Panther, Star-Lord, and Captain Marvel.
Dang, Black Panther died
and his
again?
army succeed in retrieving one of the Negabands, and a desperate fight ensues for the second band. The heroes, battered and outnumbered, realize they cannot hold on much longer. In a moment of self-sacrifice, Wonder Man decides to give his life for the cause, believing that his late fiancée would have wanted him to do something great, even though he had never believed in himself. Grabbing the second Negaband, he urges the others to escape and activates its power, fusing it with...
Wait, so Wonder Man just comes into, wait a minute, transform into a near Super Saiyan state. Wonder Man charges at Immortus and his fleet of... Oh. But like, Wonder Man just starts off on here with his powers. Okay. Alright, no origin story.
His already immense ionic energy. Transformed into a near Super Saiyan state, Wonder Man charges at Immortus and his fleet of Kang warships, intending to destroy them and the Negabands in one final kamikaze-like act. Immortus, using the other Negaband, charges at Wonder Man, and the collision sends shockwaves through the galaxy. When the debris settles, Immortus stands victorious, having used the Negabands to enhance his power. The Kang variants watch in awe.
I keep hearing the term Negaband, and I keep thinking of Negaduck from the Negaverse. Disney. How come there's no Negaduck cameo? Where's Darkwing Duck in here? It's Disney, right? Disney, Marvel, make it happen.
As the surviving heroes flee, realizing the catastrophic loss and the immense power now at Immortus' disposal. At Ramatut's fortress, the scene unfolds with Ramatut presenting the severed heads of the fallen Avengers to Immortus, a symbol of his victory. Immortus watches oddly as Ramatut, like a sycophant, grovels at his feet, eager to please his master. Despite Ramatut's outward display of loyalty, hints emerge of Immortus' Machiavellian nature as he subtly manipulates Ramatut, turning the weaker-minded ruler against Centurion. Immortus, now empowered by the Negabands, seized with anger over Centurion's failure to capture the 10 rings. His ambitions grow even larger. Centurion, feeling cornered and betrayed by both Ramatut and Immortus, tries to strike back in desperate act of defiance. However, Immortus' newfound power, thanks to the Negabands, proves overwhelming.
See, here we go. We got 3 of the top Kangs, and what we got? Black on black crime. Damn.
Sadistic grin, Immortus absorbs Centurion's energy, consuming both his essence and his soul, making him even more powerful. The rest of the Council of Kangs, including Ramatut, watch in stunned silence as Immortus squashes the attempted coup, solidifying his dominance. Ramatut, now completely subjugated, cowers before Immortus and pledges his undying loyalty to him as the true Kang Prime. The Council, feeling Immortus' power, follows suit, bowing and chanting Kang Prime in a creepy display of submission. Immortus' rise to power is chillingly Machiavellian, marked by his cold manipulation and ruthless consolidation of control. With his new power, Immortus declares that the 10 rings are the final piece needed to ascend to an Omega-level being. As his yellow eyes gleam with a sadistic laugh, he envisions his ultimate victory. Meanwhile, in a somber montage, Wakanda is left in ruins, and Captain America rallies their surviving Avengers and what's left of humanity. They retreat to an underground bunker, a secret facility built by Tony Stark.
Wait, did he say Captain America? Steve Rogers? No? Oh, Falcon. Sam Wilson. I got you.
For just such a doomsday event, as the threat of Immortus' reign looms ever closer. Kang the Conqueror finds himself trapped in a chaotic confrontation with his clones in the Beyond Zone. His emotional stability unravels when one clone utters the name Ravonna, sparking an uncontrollable spiral of rage and despair. As his mind breaks down, thousands of clones converge on him, overwhelming him until the last shred of light fades. Kang reaches out in desperation, but is consumed by darkness over the realm. Over a black screen, Janet's voice calls out, "Who is Kang?" This marks the beginning of Kang's descent into an eerie part of the Beyond Zone where Kang's mind is unraveling, and we finally get to see his past. In the abyss, Kang's terror intensifies as he falls through darkness, surrounded by the haunting memories he has tried to suppress. Flashbacks of his childhood with Ravonna, running hand in hand through a wheat field, fill his mind, quickly followed by scenes of massacres he committed. exterminating timelines and killing innocent civilians across multiple worlds. The flashbacks become more intense, showing Kang's deep love for Ravonna as teenagers and their eventual marriage. However, his love is overshadowed by his brutal acts of violence, including the slaughter of many different variants of the Avengers. The abyss around him grows darker, and Kang's cries for help echo into the void as he recalls moments of tenderness with Ravonna, like holding her pregnant belly. Yet his atrocities continue to haunt him, with images of him murdering more innocent lives than the variants of those he once cherished. Kang's emotional agony deepens as he plunges further into the probability storm. As he falls, the last bit of light extinguishes and he is enveloped by the cold, isolating dark. He realizes that if he is to escape this mental prison and save reality, he must first conquer his mind. Allowing his demons to consume him, Kang finally makes peace with the idea that his actions, though horrific, were necessary for the survival of the multiverse. He remembers his love for Ravonna, and as everything around him bursts into flames, he faces the truth. His war with many different Avengers and his destruction of countless universes.
So this is the Kang the Conqueror that got defeated in Ant-Man 3. So he's still alive. He's still going through the motions and, the different feelings he's had. And as it's the script stating, he's starting to come to peace with the things that have happened. So he may end up being the one to fight the final Kang. Was that Immortus, the Omega level one, or Kang Prime?
Was all to prevent a greater catastrophe at the hands of the Council of Kangs. His hands are stained with the blood of trillions, yet he feels no other choice but to continue down this path of destruction. He must save the multiverse from his variants. As Kang faces the consequences of his decisions, his mind returns to the moment he last saw Ravonna. The two argued bitterly before his departure to wage war on the other Kangs. Ravonna begged him to stay, reminding him that fate had a different path for them. But Kang refused to listen, driven by paranoia and the belief that he must protect their future at any cost. Through the powers of the Beyond Zone, Kang astral projects himself to relive that moment, pleading with his former self to stop and cherish what he had. But his former self leaves, and Ravonna is left weeping alone. The vision leaves Kang broken and consumed by regret. Kang's journey continues as he is ambushed and captured by the Council of Kangs, his trial held in a sadistic amphitheater where the other Kangs revel in his misery. Immortus, Ramatut, and Centurion sentence him to exile and punishment, which Kang accepts with defiance, though he pleads for his wife's safety. Immortus coldly informs him that Ravonna and his kingdom will meet him in the afterlife, further crushing Kang's spirit. As he is led to his execution, Kang remembers moments of tenderness with Ravonna, when he held her pregnant belly, and when he leapt from his throne to catch her as she fell. Just as he faces exile, Kang makes a daring escape, blasting off into the multiverse, hands outstretched in a desperate attempt to save what he once loved. Kang's journey reaches a devastating conclusion as he crash lands back in his destroyed world. His kingdom is in ruins, the wheat fields and apple trees burned, leaving only the skeleton of his former life. Terrified, he approaches the site where Ravonna's body is hanged, barely recognizable in its horrific state. His grief overwhelms him and he collapses, digging her grave in the blackened earth. As he buries her, he speaks through his tears, telling her to wait for him in the shadow of the trees. But as Kang mourns, the Council of Kangs appears once again. In his despair, Kang reaches out to create a circle in the dirt, symbolizing his goal for a singular, perfect timeline. His timeline, free of the chaos he believes the other Kangs have wrought. His vengeance and resolve grows as he stands, sand slipping from his fist, facing the Council of Kangs, eyes filled with fury. Kang is recaptured, but not before Immortus rips the tracking beacon from his chair, mocking him. The Council begins the exiling procedure, their devices poised to send Kang to the quantum realm. As they fire, Kang's anger erupts, yelling that he will find them, vowing vengeance as his chair is sabotaged. The soundtrack swells as he struggles, but soon the scene shifts, and
Okay, so this is starting to sound like it's how he got sent there in Ant-Man 3 and met Van Dyne. That's what this is sounding like. Could be wrong, but it's interesting how it's being woven together.
present, Kang sobs alone, surrounded by his clones who silently watch him. Clutching the necklace he once gave to Ravonna, Kang's tears fall onto it, but as they do, his emotional pain transforms into determination. His probability selves/clones begin to merge with him, chanting his name, Kang, Kang, Kang. Their cries fuel him, and Kang ascends out of the probability storm, rapidly moving through dimensions as his suit repairs itself. His power grows as he absorbs the essence of the multiverse, eventually transforming into the one true Kang Prime, aka Beyonder Kang, an all-powerful being, ready to exact his vengeance on the Council of Kangs. Kang's emotional journey is one of profound tragedy and existential transformation. From a man torn by guilt and loss, he becomes a being of immense power, consumed by a desire for vengeance. Kang and his legions of clones are now headed to Earth 616 to destroy the Council of Kangs once and for all. The sky above is a haunting green, acid rain falling relentlessly as lightning cracks through the toxic clouds. The world below is a nuclear winter, a scene painted like Dante's Inferno, where thunder rumbles ominously. Captain America has gathered the last surviving Avengers and remnants of humanity in a massive underground bunker designed by Tony Stark for global disaster. The remaining Avengers include Thor, Ant-Man, Spider-Man, Shang-Chi, Ms. Marvel, and Hulk. It's presumed that Doctor Strange perished while pursuing the Centurion. Thor is devastated by the loss of his family, wishing for his own death, but he remains steadfast in his mission to protect the Ten Rings, refusing to let the Kangs retrieve.
Once again, Thor, grief-stricken, loss of family, loss of father, loss of Asgard, loss of kingdom. Goodness gracious. That dude's been through way too much. No wonder he's a terrible wreck.
Them. The group knows their time is running out. The Council of Kangs will soon arrive, drawn by the beacon from the Ten Rings. The legions of Kangs eventually surround the bunker. Captain America makes his final stand. With Shang-Chi wearing the Ten Rings and the rest of the Avengers by his side, he faces the encroaching legions. Standing tall in defiance, they are ready to die, protecting their last remnants of humanity. The moment is eerily reminiscent of the battle at the Hot Gates, with Rama-Tut now acting as Immortus' emissary, having merged his armor with Centurion's remains. Rama-Tut demands they bow before Kang Prime, threatening their destruction. Captain America offers his life in exchange for the other's survival, but Immortus sees his bravery as both foolish and impressive. Instead, Immortus offers Sam a dark choice: to serve as their messenger of death, using the Ten Rings to execute superheroes and mutants across the multiverse. Immortus offers Sam magic and cosmic powers, claiming that Captain America's legacy is nothing compared to Steve Rogers. In a moment of agony, Captain America looks at a shield once held by Steve Rogers, now tightly grasped.
Hold up, he said Captain America's legacy is nothing compared to Steve Rogers? That is brutal. I'm sorry. That is that's a brutal insult. Dang. They should have leaned into it with a higher movie rating like Deadpool. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that was more of Ryan Reynolds type movie. He got permission from Marvel to have a bunch of cameos and just have a ball. It was a great movie, but very different from this.
Grasped in his own hands. As time seems slow, Sam's memories flash before him, smiling faces of the original Avengers. Would Steve understand? With his head bowed, Sam stands tall once more, casting aside the shield and defying Immortus' demand. Avengers, assemble, he yells, signaling the remaining Avengers to launch a kamikaze-style attack. Red Wing, activated from Sam's suit, sends Immortus' coordinates to him. Sam, fueled by determination, rises into the air, shield in hand. He hurls the shield towards Immortus, but Rama-Tut intercepts with a barrage of energy blasts. Despite the efforts to stop it, the shield grazes Immortus' head, throwing him violently backward. For a brief moment, doubt flickers in Rama-Tut's eyes as Immortus, now bleeding, rises in fury, demanding the Kangs.
Now, when the shield hits him in the head, is it slow-mo like Leonidas' spear grazing Xerxes in the final scene of 300? I'm curious about that. If Marvel would have stole that scene. But guess we'll never know.
Let's finish the Avengers. Captain America falls, gravely wounded, unable to stop the slaughter of his friends. As he reaches out to Ant-Man, the dying hero's tears reflect his guilt. "This is all my fault," Ant-Man admits, but Captain America reassures him, "You fought like a true Avenger. Your daughter would be proud." Meanwhile, Immortus fights to seize the 10 rings from Shang-Chi, delivering a fatal blow. As Shang-Chi falls, his body convulses under the mystical energy, and the light in his eye fades and the rings fall off his dead body. Immortus, eyes burning with the hope of ultimate power, steps forward, stretching his hands toward the 10 rings as their beacon grows louder with every passing second. The air hums with energy, and Immortus's voice rings out commanding, "Come to me, my relics." His words seem to shake the very ground beneath him. As he advances, the 10 rings begin to lift, vibrating with power, their movements almost as if responding to his call. Then, in a sudden surge of energy, they shoot upward into the nuclear winter skies, disappearing into the dark, toxic clouds above. The ground shakes violently, a strange rumble building as Ant-Man looks to the skies. A figure descends from the clouds, almost godlike. Kang the Conqueror, now empowered as Kang Prime, hovers down from the nuclear winter storm, the 10 rings glowing with intense energy, the beacon now eerily dim. Ant-Man, weak and on the verge of death, points at him, whispering, "It's him. That's Kang." Ramatut, horrified, cries out, "The Conqueror." Immortus and the rest of the council are paralyzed with fear as Kang, now wielding.
So far, I got most of what I saw coming correct. The only thing I was mainly wrong about is that the Avengers would somehow convince Kang, or the Avengers would bring back Kang to fight the rest of the Council of Kangs. That did not happen. Kang the Conqueror did it himself. That would have been interesting. You know what I mean? Like I said, oh man, a lot of people died in this. This was brutal. But I think for this to be called like the Kang Dynasty, I mean, you were going to see a lot of Jonathan Majors, and that's a lot riding on his shoulders to be the next big bad. You know, I would have thought this still is about maybe a 6.5 at this point out of 10. From all that I'm hearing so far, and decent, watchable, yeah. The next one after that will have to be totally different, which we'll see, because RDJ, right? RDJ is doomed. I don't know if they plan on doing that from the beginning, but a little bit interesting. But yeah, this has some decent tie-ins, considering all the stuff that they have been building up for Jonathan Majors, Kang the Conqueror, and He Who Remains. This just had to go through a lot of girl power just to get to this point, man. It's tough, you know. I think this would have been enjoyable.
An unimaginable power hovers above them. Immortus is stunned when Kang Prime suddenly,
but the lowest rated Avengers movie, definitely,
hovers over them, surrounded by his vast army of clones who snarl like wild beasts. Immortus sneers at Kang Prime, asking if he has returned to be buried by them, to which Kang Prime responds, he has returned to burn them out of time forever. Ramatut, standing alongside Immortus, mocks the moment, questioning whether Kang Prime likes what they've done with the place. Kang Prime's only answer is, it ends tonight.
Bro, that joint literally sounds, I quote, out of Matrix, the third movie, when Agent Smith takes over the whole Matrix and it's raining for the final fight against Neo. And Neo walks past the rows of Agent Smiths, and he walks in, the Oracle Eye Smith comes out and says, "You like what I've done with the place?" And literally Neo says, "It ends tonight." If they stole that dialogue word for word, oh god, this Marvel is just snatching away, or Disney just snatching it. Now that's not creative at all. We know for a fact that nobody was using the term inevitable so commonly until Agent Smith in the Matrix series popped up, you know, representing how much of a villain he was. And next thing you know, that was Thanos' key dialogue word for no reason. Y'all let me know if Thanos was running around telling Lady Death, yes, I am going to marry Lady Death and destroy everyone to marry her and get her affection. It is inevitable. It is inevitable that I marry Mistress Death. You know, was Thanos saying that in the comics? I highly doubt that. But, you know, that's where the movies and the comics kind of part ways and go the opposite direction. But it's just, that's where it gets kind of lame. You know, Black Widow in the Age of Ultron riding a motorcycle like Trinity during the highway scene. You know, lots of stolen Matrix stuff. I get it.
Immortus, ever confident, vows to erase Kang from all timelines in existence, even going as far as to claim that history will forget Kang and his world. He cruelly taunts Kang by revealing that Ravonna, Kang's beloved, was tortured and degraded by them. This infuriates Kang Prime, who unleashes a legion of his clones, forming a protective barrier around him. He proclaims, "Now, you all will know that I am the King who wins." With his clones, Kang Prime charges at Immortus and the rest of the Council. The Great Multiversal War has begun. Kang Prime, who commands his clones from the Beyond Zone, who overwhelm the Kang Council, tearing them apart in brutal, bloody battle. Kang Prime faces off with Immortus and Ramatut in an epic confrontation that spans across countless multiverses, reminiscent of Doctor Strange's journey through the multiverse. Their battle grows so intense that it begins to destabilize reality itself. Meanwhile, Loki struggles to hold on to the timelines as they collapse. Desperate, the TVA, Doctor Strange, the Fantastic Four, Deadpool, Wolverine, Nick Cage's Ghost Rider, and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man arrive, attempting to save the remaining Avengers in a vessel known as the Ark, a life raft created to protect essential beings. Captain America tragically dies before the Ark can save him, but Miss Marvel and Spider-Man are rescued. Reed Richards warns that time is running out and that the Ark is their only hope for survival. As Earth 616 is consumed by incursions, the TVA transports the survivors to a safe space between realities. Meanwhile, Kang Prime and Immortus continue their battle, with Immortus wielding Miss Marvel's Negabands and Kang Prime possessing Shang-Chi's 10 rings. Their fight takes them through and around the multiversal tree, causing the very fabric of the multiverse to deteriorate.
Okay, so that's a clue right there, incursions. As Earth 616 is consumed by incursions, you already got Miles Morales and you got the other Spider-Man there. Those are two key players for the Secret Wars, where Doctor Doom got the power of the Beyonder. Kang the Conqueror is all Kang Prime is already he's got the power of the Beyonder from the Beyonder, Superstorm, however way that works. So you got key elements that are setting up for the next Avengers, in which Doctor Doom is revealed. Who Doctor Doom would have been? Who knows if this would have gone according to plan and script. So let's see how things are kind of converging with that. Is it the greatest story? No. But it's partially going in the direction of some of those comics. So it is what it is.
Due to the immense power of the relics, Kang Prime delivers a crushing blow to Immortus, sending him hurtling through the multiversal branches. Immortus recovers and launches another assault, but their collision shatters timelines and creates a devastating storm that tears apart universes. As the battle reaches its climax, they fight in midair, locked in a relentless struggle, racing higher and higher through the branches of Yggdrasil, oblivious to the destruction they cause. At the top of the tree, Kang Prime lands a series of brutal strikes that leave Immortus stunned and vulnerable. unstoppable. In a final, thunderous clash, Kang Prime kills Immortus by choking him with the timelines and then tearing him apart with the Negabands. The multiverse begins to collapse entirely as the decay of Yggdrasil spreads, and the Avengers aboard the Ark watch helplessly as universes collide, leading to their inevitable destruction. Reed Richards struggles to keep the Ark afloat, but the power is fading fast. Loki's powers are absorbed by King Prime in a failed attempt to revive the timelines. In a desperate final act, Beyonder King uses his power to take control of the Ark and creates a protective force field around it. He then merges the Negabands and 10 rings into a device capable of reshaping reality. However, instead of restoring the multiverse, King Prime fuses all the remaining universes into a singular timeline called Battleworld, using the combined galaxy reshaped the Void into Chronopolis, a new...
Well, instead of no Doctor Doom, let's just use Kang to make Battleworld. Alright. Well, they pulled another switcheroo again. I guess to give Jonathan Majors, more of the credit, his spotlight. It is called Kang Dynasty, for example. So, interesting.
New reality built from the ruins of Earth 616, Earth 838, and Earth 6010, and countless others. The surviving heroes aboard the Ark, including the Fantastic Four, Deadpool, both Spider-Man and the Avengers, are imprisoned by Kang Prime. In the newly formed Battleworld, Kang strides through a stunning landscape of vibrant rose fields. A sense of calm and fulfillment washes over him as he walks, his fingers brushing lightly against the delicate petals. Now in this new world, his domain stands tall, breathtakingly beautiful, restored to something even greater than before. Everything around him is exquisitely beautiful, a perfect reflection of his vision of a new reality. As Kang moves closer to a quiet spot in the field, he sees a woman standing with her back to him. She turns, revealing herself to be Ravonna, still pregnant, her smile radiant as she grazes at him. She holds out her hand to him, a gesture of love and welcome. Kang, moved by the sight, gently takes her hand and presents her with a rose he picked from the field. "You came back," Ravonna says softly, her voice filled with warmth. Kang replies with a tender smile, "For all time, always, my love." Ravonna steps into his arms and they share a passionate kiss, a moment of pure joy and connection. As they embrace, the screen slowly fades to black. Now, I don't know if this is real or not. It is certainly detailed, so I'll give it to them. But honestly, it sounds pretty dang intense, and it makes me really kind of miss what we could have got with Avengers the Kang Dynasty, because something like this would actually be quite insane to see on screen. I would have actually loved this. Again, no idea if this is 100% the leaked script, but unfortunately, we'll probably never know. However, it was nice hearing what could have been, and I do kind of think this would have been epic, but go ahead, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you made it this far, thank you. Be sure to comment, like the...
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. That was pretty interesting of what could have been. It would not have been the worst thing ever. Definitely would have been better than... It definitely would have been better than the Marvels. So that it's not bad. It's not bad. It's unconfirmed whether or not that's the actual script, but if that was not the actual leaked script, here's the thing. Hear me out. That would go back to what I've always said. Fans make better stuff. I'm sorry. It's if that is not the official script, that's my next conclusion. That is my conclusion, for that matter. But if it is the official script, that's a little bit better than what we were thinking was going to happen for that. So I've got a couple more minutes here. We're going, we've been going 2 hours strong here. So I'm going to go ahead and I already sent some invites. to the Madness Comic Network. See if Levi, Skeen, or Pops might want to pop in. Not if time's already passed, then we can go ahead and let's see. We can go ahead and cut this stream and call it a day. I gotta come back on Friday. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I might take it easy Friday. Work on some admin stuff. Okay, yeah, that's what I might do. So this show might be on replayed on Friday. I think that'll be fun. So we got some colors starting to come in for this. I think they're looking pretty good so far. I definitely want to add some yellows on the edges to highlight, like the fire. We got someone in the back. Yes, sir. Sir Levi Skeen. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, Rob?
Nothing much. Finally glad to catch a break after a brutal 4-day.
You been enjoying that snow?
Yeah, I got to play in it all night last night. I had to clean parking lot full of cars. So I wasn't alone.
Right.
Had a team, but that was kind of exhausting. How about you?
Yeah, we're not getting much snow up here. There's a lot of rain this winter.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so you're more Midwest, right?
I'm up in Spokane, Washington.
Oh, okay, yeah. Y'all get a lot of rain in Washington then.
The Seattle area does, yeah. But Spokane, it doesn't. We're so when a polar vortex comes down, they show you the pictures and crap.
Yeah.
Right up there by the Idaho Panhandle, we're like right on this. We're like the crust, where it's kind of like we might get some or we might not get some.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, pretty hit and miss.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, weather in different regions, weather doesn't act the same everywhere. Like when I went to Missouri, we were on hurricane watch like 3 times in 4 months. They were like hunker down. They were sounding the alarm and stuff because of the tornadoes and hurricanes that are pretty brutal.
Yeah, we're pretty safe here in Spokane. We get maybe an earthquake, and other than that, because we're in one of those U-shaped valleys, we don't get tornadoes. But we are a valley, so the weather does funnel in.
Okay.
So
yeah. All right. Cool. I think this show today is a little too long. Pops was telling me.
Yeah, over the 2 hour mark, kind of hard to get.
Yeah.
But hey, I want to pop in and just comment on that Avengers or Kang Dynasty.
Yeah.
Man, that thing sounded brutal. It had beheadings in it.
I know, right?
I was like, they would have leaned a little bit more into it. Like that would have been some like visually cool.
Right.
Especially the Sentinels showing up.
Yeah.
I
did not see that coming at all.
Neither did I. It's like, which version would it have been? Would it have been like the tall giants that we're all dying for, or would it have been like the Nimrod ones where they were short and human-like?
Right.
It's like,
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I mean, I was curious about it because I was like, it's probably gonna suck or whatnot. But this was actually better than the leak script of Wonder Woman 1984.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it was a big surprise. And it had some nuggets in there. It didn't sound that bad, but it's definitely watchable. But yeah, it's a shame.
And I just found out this week that there's going to be a Wonder Man movie.
Yeah, well, I think that it's a TV show.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's the guy that played Morpheus in the last Matrix movie.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's
I was
interesting.
I was a big Wonder Man fan.
Yeah, I didn't know about him until he showed up as Ion in one of those Avengers cartoons, and
Mm-hmm.
he was pretty cool.
I just my favorite version of Simon would be the West Coast Avengers one, where he's kind of like the lovesick puppy. He's kind of pining over Wanda. He'll never get her. He
Yeah,
feels like
yeah.
second place to Tony Stark. So you always kind of rooted for him because he was kind of the Spider-Man Peter Parker-ish type
Right.
character.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting ordeal because some of those anti-heroes that they were good when they showed up to fight, but they had a bit of a twisted nature about them, kind of like Namor.
Yes.
Namor would be there to to help, but then he was trying to snag Sue Storm.
Yeah.
So it's interesting down there.
I did like.
Go ahead.
Did you ever read the John Byrne Namor run?
I don't think I have. I would have to find it.
I'm not sure if he brought this into the mythos, but he explained how the reason why Namor is such a dick, like half the time, is because he goes through saltwater withdrawal. So he had in some scenes in that series where he had a saltwater pool, so he would just go kick it in the pool for a little while to kind of, to not be such a
Wow. That adds interesting dynamic to the character. I never knew that. Wow. Okay. All right. I can dig it. So yeah, I guess I'm wrap the stream up because I'm pretty burnt myself after a long night. But before I send this to Pops, I'll probably chop it up, or I may just do 1 hour on Friday because I got some time on Friday.
All right, cool.
So I got some shows today coming up.
Yes, we do. We got the Tuesday draw stream on exclusively on Pilled at 3 p.m. Eastern.
I want to say I'll make it, but I'm doing my 24-hour up thing again. Yeah. It's the only way I actually get to enjoy like a little bit of the day off before I go back to work tomorrow.
Gotcha.
Out of anything else, I'll try to pop in or maybe be in the chat. I still got to make a profile for the pill.
Yeah, I'm liking it.
Okay,
over
yeah. Extra, extra scene. Don't have to worry about, certain issues from the YouTube overlords.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, I don't want to hold you up, man. I know you probably got stuff to do, and we'll catch up and everything. And this the piece for Spin City. When does it due?
Oh my goodness, was it February 28th?
Okay. All right, so I got plenty of time now. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I'll get back to you.
Okay. Yeah, if it's next month, that's plenty of time because I should have this done. I'm gonna try to work on it some more, and I should have it done within another week, if not less.
Yeah,
And
it's looking great,
thanks.
man. I can't wait to see that pentagram all lit up.
Yeah, definitely. I had an idea about that, and then once I light it up, then I'll add like some highlights to the fingertips and stuff to indicate it's glowing.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm excited, and then I'll put it on another piece and kind of shrink it down so they got room to drop some captions.
Cool.
Yep. So, all right, sir. Well, thanks for stopping by.
All right, man.
Thanks for adding feedback because I was like that was like I said that was pretty good.
Yeah.
What in the world? I'm trying to fix this thing. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So, yep. That's another show. Be sure to follow Levi Skeen on YouTube, and you got a Pilled account as well, right?
Yeah, 3 Stroke Studios.
Okay. Excellent. So yeah, definitely check them out, guys. All part of the Madness Comic Network, and that's it. We're calling it.
Cool.
All right, take care, Levi.